We're starting this meeting. Somebody hit that button, you got it. All right. We don't have to do the whole protocol.
I think you need Dana.
Dana's here.
Yeah, cool.
I'm gonna Dennis on that you got him.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Dennis is here.
Okay. Today's April 25th, 2024, it's 11 o'clock. It's a special meeting on Zoom and in person. In order to complete the town's business in a timely manner, the following procedures will be followed for all town meetings, including those hosted on Zoom. All meeting participants must keep their microphones muted and their videos turned off except during citizens' comments and unless called on to speak by the board. For the town of Preston Board of Trustee Procedures, Rules of Order, Section 7.3, we allow 15 minutes total for citizens' comments. During those 15 minutes, speakers will be allowed up to 3 minutes to speak, after which they will be informed that the 3 minutes are up and the microphones will be muted. Before speaking, please state your name and address for the record. If your comments are longer than 3 minutes, or if the time for citizens' comments expired before you had a chance to speak, please send your comments as correspondence to the town hall. The board will respond to your letters. We will take citizens' comments for up to 15 minutes as per our procedures. Multiple citizens have the same comments, please make them brief. Should the time allotted for citizens' comments expire before you have a chance to speak, you may submit your comments to town hall to be included as correspondence to the board at the next regular meeting. I have to do roll call. Trustee Kinney,
Here.
trustee Mendez Sanchez,
Here.
trustee
Oglesby.
Oglesby. Trustee Ozlusny.
Here.
Kim Martinez is supposed to show up but absent without notice. And trustee Lakai is absent with notice. Also present is Elaine Johnson as advisor and Warren Stevens as advisor. Next on the agenda is citizens' comments.
Approval of the.
Approval of agenda.
Did you want to add in
Yes,
the QuickBooks report?
yes, and that, so under financial committee report and update, we could do some subcategories.
Okay.
So we have the
The review of Dana's
review, not Dana, well,
proposal.
Dana,
Proposal.
readers,
Dana, what's her last name?
reader,
Leader. Proposal. I would like to add, that some of the action items we'll go through quickly with, that are on the third sheet of Elaine's report.
All of them or some?
Um,
All of them or some of them?
well, we could kind of move through them and then decide what we can make action on.
All right.
so kind of like the for 30 days.
This is, yes. Yes, for that, there's that, yes. Say it later, and then, under. We also are putting, Brent has been, Dennis, do you wanna put that on the agenda? For this meeting,
What's that?
Brent getting, a raise,
Yes, I had an actual letter that I wanted to submit to the board and it never got there.
okay, so do you wanna put it on?
Mail that to you?
You can, we don't have a printer right now, so you could, it's gonna be, do you wanna read it? Not right
Yes.
now. When
Yes,
you-
I do. Hold on.
Okay, don't read it yet. Put that on there, Brent, letter from Brent? Or
I have
letter,
to step out. I have to step out for 1 second.
okay. put that on there, just,
What was that item, sorry?
put it under, it's gonna be, Dennis letter. That'll be after the financial committee report. Is there any more stuff for financial committee that we have to,
Oh,
talk
you
about-
can have it, sir. Here. Here, you can have it. Oh, it's really small, watch out.
okay, so I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda as, amended, No,
So
I'm
moved.
asking for, so Adam first, Dana second. She's gonna go back on the recording and actually write the minutes supposedly. So we're recording,
We are recording?
Yeah.
Yes.
did we do what, sorry?
I'd like to see what, or hear what the amendments.
So we're going to go through, this real quick and
Alright.
see what pertains to right now. It's on the third page.
Alright.
We're also going to, Dennis has a letter that he's gonna read. I have something that's under the living wisdom that I'm gonna read, and then, we're going to review this letter that we got, or this proposal we got from Dana Ritter. Okay, so any more discussion on the agenda? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, Mondo. Or-
Aye, sorry for that.
Okay. Dennis, vote?
Yes.
Okay.
Am I up? Yes.
No. Approval of agenda. Okay, citizens' comments. No citizens' comments here. Anybody on Zoom want to give a citizens' comment? Hearing none, seeing none, move on. Now we're into discussion and action items. First is our finance committee report from our work session. Start with that. Should we start working with Elaine's first?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe I could, at least to start out, make a motion
Okay, yes.
that we approve our staff to work hand in hand with Elaine for up to 30 days. And that Elaine signs an NDA so she can access our accounts.
Is there a second on that?
Second,
NDA is just ruled unconstitutional. Ruled.
I don't even know if it's NDA, what it is, that's what they've been saying.
For oath of office? Oath? What would you prefer?
I'm sorry.
We're just talking about what, would be the best way to, basically, what is it? Delegate authority to you to be able to access without.
I think what you might wanna do is incorporate this report first into your minutes and into your board meeting, the worksheet and that these were the,
Recommendations.
basically the recommendations, the summary of the status and the recommendations
Okay.
by the finance committee or by me, however you wanna do it. I think you need to do that first, maybe.
Okay. Sure,
Okay, so take back the
all right,
motion and then make a next motion. Do you wanna make a motion?
well, no, I think we need to go through this before we make a motion to accept it.
I was
Right.
thinking just the report, the first two pages.
First, we can review.
You're asking to see a motion to put this into the minutes?
I think you just need to put it in, before you vote
Put it on
on
record.
anything on the third page, you wanna get this into the record.
Okay, but this isn't necessarily something that we're approving without talking about it as a board. So if the motion is to put this into the minutes and receive it into official record, I can make that motion.
That would
Okay,
And then we
make
would
sense. And then move to
Tie that
recommendations.
do that.
okay, so for simplification for Ariel and the recording, Adam is making the motion to receive the finance committee report into the official record and into the minutes.
Is there a second?
Second.
Dana got it.
that's
Any
fine.
more discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, unanimous. Next, we're going to, talk about, Elaine's, generous offer to, be, delegated, I would call it a delegation of authority to allow her 30 days to help our, treasurer as well as our advisors, experts to, bring our budgets, our, everything that was agreed on and, or everything that was, presented in this up to date, in this report that was just approved, brought into the minutes.
And the only comment I would make is that in order to do that, some of these other things are gonna have to be done. Like the board's gonna have to open those bank accounts that they need to open, get the signatories changed. Some of that background stuff needs to be done.
So it was
In
already,
order for the other work. to be
Yeah.
done.
So could we table this?
no,
No, I think what you may wanna do is just go through the action, items in that, the first three categories, and then get to the appointment. And thank you, for talking a little bit ahead.
So, can the board officially agree that financial stability is the highest priority of the board?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes?
yes,
Check. Place financial reviews, including the payment of expenses first on the agenda of each meeting. So I would encourage us to consider that because usually we don't get to our finance report until 5 PM.
I would write an emotion form, that one, an emotion.
So I make a motion that we direct, Adam Kinney makes a motion that we direct our town clerk to place financial reports at the beginning of the agenda
Of each regular meeting.
of each item, or of each regular
Is
meeting.
there a second?
And that would be in reports in the agenda?
It would be,
I think
I
so.
think.
Okay,
Yeah.
and reports.
Are we second that one?
okay, all in favor, or,
Uh,
sorry, discussion?
Aye.
All in favor?
We've already approved new signatories on bank accounts,
Mhm.
but should we do that again to simplify minutes?
Okay,
I may,
I mean, I'm already supposed to have that, it's just again, those minutes, so we have to.
right,
I would say we direct our Ariel to, have those minutes from that meeting,
okay,
done as soon as possible.
check.
Well, do it as a motion, so it's in there,
So I don't wanna make the motion because I believe I'm a signator.
right, okay, somebody else make a motion for that?
I'll make a motion.
Are you going for it, Dennis?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
You're making a motion to direct our clerk to have minutes.
I see.
We need the minutes in order to do that, and minutes to, in order to do a lot of our stuff, so we have to really direct our.
Okay, so Adam Kinney makes a motion that the town board directs our clerk to complete the minutes regarding approval of new signatories on bank accounts.
As well as any other. Motions that,
And deletion of others.
as well as any other motions that need to be, you know, like,
For starting new bank accounts for that same, the same year?
I would direct it as a more broad range,
Okay, I withdraw my motion. We gotta make this easy for Ariel.
Yeah.
Cause when we start motions and then change them and finish them, it's pretty
okay,
confusing.
try it one more time.
So what are we looking for?
We
What's the
need
intent?
after each meeting, the next day, basically,
That's right.
start the draft.
I think that's a big thing that maybe,
I could bring it up.
yeah, I think you should have that conversation before we require that.
Yeah, cause I also feel like she knows that that's important, you know?
Well, we had talked about in our work session possibly having, the next day be.
Right. Close, but
Close.
that's I still feel like
No.
a conversation.
Okay,
Yeah, so maybe we don't motion.
But we immediately need the minutes
Okay.
concerning the signatories
okay,
of
start one more
bank accounts,
time,
right?
saying the.
And the new bank accounts.
Yes.
Did we have did we make that motion already?
I don't know.
I don't know if we did the new bank account.
So you
Right, so that's a separate, we'll make that a separate motion. I don't even think we need a motion, we need the minutes.
Okay, I will bring that up to the staff meeting.
And if you want to, for the sake of Ariel, I think we can make motions and votes for these line items here, and getting the minutes for this meeting might be the easiest and most efficient.
Yeah,
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
this is a short meeting.
Okay, so I make a motion that I don't wanna make the motion, I want Ariel or Dennis or Kim or Armando to make the motion to approve you and I as signatories on the bank accounts.
Now but that was already done, but.
Yeah, but we could do it again.
Okay, so I make the motion to make Mayor Byers and Mayor Pro Tem Kenny new signatories on our bank accounts
Second,
We're,
with the clerk.
second,
I'll do second.
okay, discussion. All in favor? It's gonna be you four.
Yeah, abstaining.
Aye.
okay, it's just gonna put more work on Ariel when she has to hunt you down, or hunt you
You
down.
have me to,
Okay, I'll say,
for now, you have to keep doing it until we are switched.
okay, I'm just saying it's making it hard on our staff.
So do you vote aye or nay?
I voted a,
Okay,
Adam and Benjamin recuse themselves.
yeah, I make a motion that we approve our treasurer to start the new bank accounts based on the 2024 budget
Is there a second?
QuickBooks.
in QuickBooks.
What was that on?
I make a motion that we approve directing our treasurer to start the new bank accounts in QuickBooks according to the 2024 budget.
I'll second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye,
Okay,
and we will as a board, we can direct our clerk to make these minutes the priority. I'm just going through the list here.
well, yeah.
The new bank accounts.
this next section looks like it's much more,
Right,
it's not so much actions, but it's directions.
Yeah.
so now we're on to, I make a motion that we direct our staff to work with Elaine Johnson for up to 30 days to accomplish these goals listed in the report.
Is there a second?
Second.
Dana, seconded. More discussion?
Um,
All in
could you
favor?
repeat the motion?
I make a motion that we direct our staff to work with Elaine Johnson for up to 30 days to accomplish the goals listed in the finance committee report.
We can
Water
use,
now.
She's free.
volunteering, not free, pro bono.
Pro bono.
Okay,
And do we wanna, you have a memorandum of understanding between?
I'd like to do that as a conversation after,
Okay.
just to simplify the motion.
Dana seconded that. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And Elaine as an attorney. We have a citizen over here telling us that NDAs are unconstitutional.
I am wrong,
Oh,
it's non-compete, is what I heard yesterday.
so
Although you have an issue that a town, it's public information, the financial information. I understand some of the inner workings you would prefer the public not to know.
It's not
But-
that at all. It's that if Dan Gray or Warren wanted to go into QuickBooks, I would say no. So granting a citizen access
I agree.
to our
No, I
books,
understand what you're saying, and
It's
I don't,
not
and I
secret.
don't mind.
it's
There's a
secure.
limit, you know, it's a weird thing with a public entity as opposed to a private entity in terms of what's available. And like he could probably make a records request and get every.
I'm not
report off
concerned
of it.
about access to information. I'm concerned about you sitting and, I'm not even concerned about it. I'm concerned about the idea of a person sitting in front of the computer and being able to affect it.
Yeah,
Not
I
being,
understand what you're saying.
so is
But
that
it's a
an
funny thing
NDA?
with town and public entities.
So what would we,
You can give me whatever you want to give me and I'll look at it.
What would be like the most,
well, Virginia signed one that
Yeah.
Allison gave Ariel to give to her.
Okay,
So
so-
if we just give the same thing.
it's an NDA, non-disclosure agreement,
Pardon me?
a non-disclosure agreement.
And again, I'm not concerned about the disclosure of information. I'm concerned about people being, the idea of people being able to input into our system.
My question is, you said you were gonna have a discussion with Elaine at a later date. Is it appropriate to make that motion?
No.
Until you guys iron out
No.
all the wrinkles?
The motion was to have her pro bono do that, then now we need something to just,
Back up, back up.
philosophically protect the town.
That's on, yeah, exactly.
So whatever, I would say we just direct Ariel to give the same form. to Elaine.
I'm calling it a delegation of authority. We're delegating authority to her to do this job with an NDA. Okay, so do you want to make a motion for that?
Yeah, did you vote on the last motion?
I did.
Okay, and you voted.
Okay.
Would you like to make a motion for that?
I make a motion that we direct
Delegate
our
authority.
clerk to provide
Non-disclosure agreement.
the security agreement to Elaine.
Okay. Second,
I will second that one.
okay. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Of these things that are on the list that you feel like you need me here for,
Can we just get through this one, or,
I don't know if you wanna do the personnel handbook right now, I don't think we should.
that's gotta come up
I've got some, yeah.
next regular meeting.
You know, the personal handbook's been out, the final draft, since I think February. And it's really tied very closely to the budget.
You wanna make a motion to? You think it's ready to be approved?
Well, I know Kim had expressed some concern because she had not, and correct me if I'm wrong, Kim, you said that you didn't get a chance to go through it.
Kim's not here.
I think we need to set a deadline when we can do that, have all those comments given to the mayor, directed either back to the Personnel Finance Committee or the town attorney, and really look for, I would say, the first meeting of June, adopting that.
Agreed, and I think we're talking about this Kim and not that Kim. Kim Martinez. Yes, yeah, I had some editing notes on what I got through, because I can find a typo a mile away. But, there were just some issues that I wanted to discuss with you, and we discussed getting together before it's finalized, so I don't think we're at the point of approving at this juncture. So June sounds
But
great.
we should set a deadline, because it is so closely tied to the budget,
Yeah,
and,
I'm gonna suggest that we put it on the next regular meeting and we, everybody who has input, bring it to that meeting and we will do it then.
Okay,
Or even preferably maybe forward it to the personnel committee so that we can we can have it ready.
Oh, forward
These
your,
are the options of this language,
Right,
this is, you know,
And a lot of-
people want changes and here are the possibilities.
that's a good idea.
and a lot of it was redundant and
It is
was
very
crossed.
redundant. It's
Yeah, it was crossed out, which is great, but then there was other issues that I saw with it.
The main goal is get rid of the wording town administrator, because you don't
Yeah.
have one and you don't want one. That's everywhere in there.
So-
The other thing where there are some changes in regard to benefits, how much sick days they keep,
Right.
all those kinds of things, so it really will affect. And a lot of this is not being done for your employees, it should be, you know, it's gotta be dealt with.
So what I would say then is, why doesn't the personnel committee hopefully meet prior to this meeting, receive all of the input that you have and anybody else's input, and then present it
Yeah,
at the
and
next
we'll put it
meeting?
in there, and then you just go to a paragraph and you pick a line, you don't have to go
Perfect.
talk about it first.
So a presentation of the personnel committee regarding the personnel handbook next.
On the
meeting,
agenda.
On the agenda for next regular meeting.
I'm not on the personnel committee, but.
That's okay, we can still give comments to them.
Okay.
There's only, oh, I guess there's two trustees.
Dennis and
Dennis
Adam,
and you.
Okay.
You and.
Next have to give full cooperation of personnel oversight, so that was part of the liens. And you'll go through all this action items that need the.
yeah, if,
They'll take
I
care of that.
assume that will be okay for me to say, you need bank statements here. They're a little reluctant to do paper. And I understand the younger people don't wanna have any paper, but
I do like.
I like to go and recycle.
Yeah.
the lesson with the water and sewer was they had no access to any water and sewer statements for all of 23 or 24 because that account got closed and no one had downloaded them and no one had any copies.
I would,
So I'd like to set up some
Yeah.
different,
I would request that you help them, make efficient reports.
That is-
Because even having 12 pages of checks, I'm not gonna look at that.
Yeah.
And so what we
Yeah,
want is
that's-
very,
Yes, Dennis,
efficient, legible.
Dennis,
Nothing on this subject. I wanted to back up on the personnel handbook, and I'm sorry I didn't speak up sooner. Along with that is the organizational chart, which is totally incorrect according to what we've got in our minds now.
Personnel committee, please, just pull together, a report and we will sum it up a little bit and then we will go through it on the next regular meeting.
yeah, we have that. Yeah.
Would you read your letter that you have now, Dennis?
Yes, it's, dear Mayor and Board of Trustees, I respectfully submit the following request to increase ORC trainee Brent Vanderveer's current rate of $16 an hour to $22 per hour. Go on to say that meeting challenges head on, Brent has learned the basics of the town water and sewer system very quickly and continues to work diligently to rectify the violations left behind by the previous ORC. He also identified the cracked valve in the water tank, found contractors to make the repair, and notified the board in a timely manner. Most recently, Brent and participated in the Living Wisdom Project meeting and assessed the group and assisted the group in putting together the final components of the Living Wisdom Project. As the project goes forward, Brent will continue to work with the contractors until completion of the infrastructure is installed. In closing, I consider Brett Vanderveer a very valuable employee, deserving of the increase. Respectfully, DJP, Dennis J. Posluszny.
So one thing I'd like to add is that $16 an hour was our low amount. I mean, so he probably should have been paid more in the beginning. However, we had kind of a 90-day, or I would say, has it been 90 days or how long has it been?
No, it hasn't. Not yet.
We had we've been working with him on a probationary level. Even in that probationary level, he might have been working more at a level of $18, $19 an hour as opposed to 16, so. If you're increasing, it's not so much increasing from 16 to 24, it is, or 22, it is, but it would be more like going from 18-19 to 22 is what,
Yeah, but we increase the hours. He's starting with 16 hours and now we are 32 hours. We now limit our time, so it's, I don't know, where we can have control on our budget. Our budget is out and he knows better, so.
I know, but
Well,
yes,
I'm out. This limiting of hours has not worked for the finance committee. And it's definitely not gonna work for an ORC in training. He's still working with the state of Colorado to resolve the violations that it left behind. We have 4 more, I believe, and it would be incorrect for us to say how many hours it's going to take to get that done. I believe he's been very conscientious in the time he's spent, but I believe every hour that he spent has been well used. So I wouldn't even attempt to limit hours on what he
but it
has to
wouldn't
do.
be over, you wouldn't be going into overtime.
No, I just call the
No,
attention
no,
that
no.
that one. I was not saying cutting hours. So you said we did a one last meeting and now to raise them, I feel it's just too much, too soon, too quick. And we don't have the budget, so I don't know.
Yeah, Dennis, how do you resolve that, reconcile that in the budget?
Well, I think it's clear what we had budgeted for at the time with Miguel in the salary portion of the budget. It should fit in just quite well.
One other thing we could do, there was that $4,000 that was in the budget specifically for helping the planned unit development.
We're talking about a wage that's gonna be ongoing for
I understand,
indefinitely.
but I'm talking about, there was a bunch of work, you know, that he's been doing for Living Wisdom specifically, because we are, and I'm gonna go through that in a little while, but we're using, basically, they're taking, how I say this, I mean, I can read it through this letter that we got from the lawyer, but there's a lot of stuff that, the town is required to do, and they're kind of taking some of that stuff over. However, ordering parts has to go through the town, things like that, so we have to actually do the work to figure out what's needed to do an extension, and as well as to do their taps. And so what we're doing is we're separating the 2 invoices. They're gonna pay for everything on the extension. However, it's our workload that's been doing that, so.
Sure.
You know, we could, in my opinion, dip into that line item specifically for some of his work.
And Dennis, you said we didn't budget anything for Miguel.
He was still an employee when we were doing that, and the lump sum is what I, again, would look at. And I can say that with Brent and Brett, who is our contract ORC, those 2 amounts together didn't even come anywhere close to what the town was paying Miguel.
We did not budget Miguel for 2024.
But,
Go ahead.
do you want me to?
Yeah.
We budgeted a public works supervisor
Right.
that we thought would do the water and public works
Right.
together. The total budget for that department was $66,560.
Mhm.
Gretchen right now is on track for around 52,000. So, I mean, those are the real numbers. If
Right.
you need the person, you get the person, but you're gonna have to figure out
Right.
very quickly when you have real numbers in front of you, where you're gonna have to take it from somewhere else.
Right.
So but with that, there's what, like $14,000 that's sort of in there.
There
that
was an
Gretchen-
assistant, it was, the public works supervisor, it was anticipated, and this was based on Miguel and Gretchen, more or less salary, 32 hours a week, $32 an hour, which came to $53,248. Then there was an
Never
assistant,
made $32 an hour.
no, it's
No.
28 or something, that was based on like,
No, not even.
public works helper, we anticipated 16 hours a week at only 16 an hour, and that was 13. So between the 2, there was a total of 66,560 budgeted for public works.
And ORC.
Well, public works was assumed to be in there. And it may have been, just too low, but in terms of your budget, as soon as you get real numbers for 24, you'll have to look at where you can, if you make these adjustments, which you may need to make, then you have to look at where you're gonna
And I would say,
take it.
I mean, could we not say, not that we're saying no, because I think that, for somebody doing his job, they do deserve to get paid more, 100%. But could we just sort of postpone this decision until we have some more realistic numbers?
Trustee,
I know he's not completely trained. He needs some training. But when a babysitter is making $15 an hour in this community and a housekeeper is making $50 an hour in this community, I think he deserves $22. We'll find the money. If I have to give up my $99.73 a month, I will donate that to have an ORC that will do the job. And when you work for this town, there's no 32 hours, there's 16 hours. You work 7 days a week, 14-hour days. And I think he definitely deserves. We don't have a large group of people to pick and choose from. He's here, he's now, let's reward him. And, your personnel committee can go and evaluate all you want. But we have him, I think we should reward him before we lose him. Because we have to have him. And $22 an hour is a joke for his qualifications.
I agree with you. I not say that he don't deserve the salary. The bigger problem we have here in this board is be the same situation. Oh, we need this, we have to do this, and then we run the budget out. And how long he been working? 2 months?
Maybe.
Right? And then we had the last guy, he was paying really well, right? I can't remember his name, Miguel, and he screwed us, excuse me my words, I mean, I wanna be offended, but so we paid well, and was our mistake not hiring the right person for the job, and we went through that one. I feel that we don't have the money. I would like to pay, like she said, no, I would like to donate my stuff, but we have to be realistic, we have to be focused on our budget and what we can do.
so there are two priorities.
Yeah.
One is definitely our finances, and we just made a motion that we were going
Yes.
to, agree that financial stability is the highest priority of the board.
Yeah, and that's why,
Second to that, I would say is water.
and that's why we raised for 16 hours to 32 hours.
It's
Right away.
doing business.
So I understand it, I'm not saying that I understand, I just say that we don't have the budget.
Well, okay,
One way or another, we have to figure out how to give him.
That's how we are
more
right
money
now, I
than
think,
$16 an hour.
but I don't know,
Yeah.
you guys be longer than
Armando,
me.
And it-
Armando, you're saying we don't have the budget. Could you show me where that is at? Elaine.
Elaine just showed us.
Second, Elaine Johnson has just described the process that Adam, myself, and her had gone through and what monies have not been spent.
I was just repeating your words, because you told me the last time that there was no money for more people, and they keep expanding, so that was your own words to me
Wait,
personally.
just a second. We're not talking about adding someone. That's not what we're talking about.
No,
We're
you told
talking
me
about
that
someone who is
No.
employed now and increasing them.
Elaine just told us that we don't have the money.
Well, there is money, and see, I don't know where the money's at. I, honest to God, as much as I've looked at it, I couldn't tell you. There was $83,408 for office staff and another $5,200 for your code enforcer. So there may be money in that 83,000,
There's
but
not.
I don't know.
Yeah, we spent that.
No idea.
And it's not that Elaine told us we don't have the money, it's that she pointed out that we did not allocate that money for Public Works and ORC. But yes, we also have, in theory, we should have tens of thousands of dollars in excess sales tax savings. But that will become questionable also.
But I think you have to look at the state mandates of,
Our water.
compliance, and water safety is your public
Yeah,
number one.
I think we
priority
need
for this
Brent.
town.
And I think we should figure it out. But I really appreciate Armando being the only person here saying, we just agreed
I,
to make
I
finance.
understand, it is very important, and part of it is that we don't know where we're at, that's a big thing. If we knew where we were at, we could make a much more informed decision.
That's kind of what my suggestion is, that we're not, like, we all agree that we need to pay him more.
Yes.
But like, we need more information before we can really, in good conscience, make that decision.
I have an
on
idea.
what it is.
Why don't we say $20 an hour? Split the difference a little bit. I mean, it's a little on the higher side, but
Yeah.
still, $20 an hour for the next two months or something, then we re-review it. But I mean, he needs to get paid more
Absolutely.
from 16, I mean, it's,
It's a problem because you've already given those raises to your town staff. The treasurer and the clerk both got a $6 an hour raise. And that's, I mean, everybody.
The clerk got a $2 an
Very
hour.
close.
I mean,
Pardon me?
the treasurer got a $2 an hour raise.
But she was making 16, then she went to 22, and then she.
She's making 20, and she should be making $22 an hour right now, and if she's making 25, that's not been
No, you were
approved.
gonna, I'm sorry, but when we met, I thought she got a raise from 16 to 22, and then she wanted to go to 25, and you said. that probably
She went
wouldn't
from 20, she got hired at 20 and went to 22. And it was for 5 hours a week.
do you
And
remember that,
then,
Dennis? Do you remember what that is?
and then she thought she was getting paid $25 an hour, but the board never approved that, so she should be making
I thought it
22.
was 16 to 20, to 22. I thought it was the same jump.
She never made
But you have to
16.
be careful just because staff.
I agree.
You know,
I agree. How do you guys wanna do this? You need,
I don't hate the suggestion of like trying to just take the middle path, like get him slightly more now and like, but make the priority getting our finances figured out. It would suck to lose him when we just got somebody on.
but like I said, for the meantime,
Managing that.
there might be some supplemental income, not income, supplemental, resources from the PUD fund that we have, because he is working probably a number of hours on specifically that project.
So the question is, this raise is being asked for Brent, requested for Brent, or is posted for Dennis? Suggested for Dennis, who is asking for the
Brent's asking
Oh,
for
that's
it.
for Brent.
Brent?
Yeah.
Okay, is any chance that he can give us some time to, to negotiate with him? I mean, we don't wanna lose him, we need him. But he knows too that we in a really tight situation, so we could have for the next meeting to know the numbers, so we do the $20, what you say. Either way, it's not that I am opposed to do the raise, but we don't have the money. In reality, that's the biggest thing. And I say again, because Dennis mentioned to me before, we cannot keep and do those things, because we had to do this thing, we had to.
So,
And then, but yes,
say we allocated $2,000 from that PUD, how long would that last?
I'm sorry.
So if we took.
It's $180 a month raise, week that he's asking for, so times 4 is $720 a month, so that would be 2 months.
Yeah. A little less.
If he went up
For
to
2,000.
22,
For just 2,000, not 4,000, I'm not
Right.
thinking 4,000,
Yeah.
because there's other money.
yeah, and we're gonna need that money for that project, but
Well, I've already used, I mean, the lawyer created this because this is a very important document. So that money, a little bit of it is already being spent for technicalities to get on the same page.
Mayor,
Does anyone make a motion? Yes, Dennis.
I'm sorry, if you were gonna call for the motion, then that's fine. I was just gonna say the alternative would end up being very, very expensive. If we had to rely on the operator that we have under contract to do the inspections and monitor the sanitary sewer and all of the other things and order all that material, that would be much more expensive than this raise that I'm proposing.
I agree. How much are we paying him? I mean, he's $300 each time he comes, every month, right?
Yes, and then it's $60 an hour for anything else as, if he were to take over that project, that's what he would be charging us, $60 an hour.
Brent, can you hear us?
Brent, unmute your,
He's also in the other room, I think.
I can hear you.
Oh, so, just out of curiosity, if you were to make $22 an hour, do you feel like you could, on a short term, to work with us as we're figuring our stuff out, do you think you could work 25 hours a week instead of 32?
No, not with the responsibilities that I have now and the prior violations and getting caught up. No, right now I'm working more than the 32 hours, but I'm forcing myself to take off. And I'll have to agree with Dennis. You guys don't want to make that decision. It will end up costing you a lot more to have Brett or some other person do the work. You're getting a great deal, and you guys, I think I've looked at the budget, and I think there's money there to pay me, and I think you need to be fair, and it needs to happen. And kicking it down the road is not going to be a really good option.
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious what you think, Lynn.
Pardon me?
I'm curious about what you think.
I think Public Works, and Kim and I will not agree on this. Public Works, you just have a certain budget. I think right now, and I think it needs to be looked at long term and over the course of this year, very seriously. I think right now you need a water person, you need somebody training, you need him there. Living Wisdom is gonna be a big deal and you've gotta get that all together. And I think he's on track to do it. I think you have to make an appropriate adjustment in his pay. I think 16 was too low to begin with. And then when you get the numbers, hopefully in 30 days, we'll have some more clarity and you'll know what your budget is. It may be that some monies can be shifted in terms of the capital fund. There may be ways to go about this. You don't know what they are right now. So I think probably you need to do it and then figure out how you adjust your
I make
budget in the
a
future.
motion, we pay Brent $22 an hour and cap him at $32, 32 hours a week.
there's second.
I'll
Second.
Kim goes.
Ken beat you to it. More discussion?
Yeah. Everybody's talking about the Living Wisdom project, which is very important. I agree. But we got that grant to go up Hippie Hill. What's that road? There's carbonate and then iron, yeah. The longer we wait, we've got an extension on that grant. The longer we wait, the shorter that road's getting. And you may not like Miguel, but I don't think he screwed us as bad as everybody says. He said we had to take care of that because it's so close to the creek that if that water's contaminated, we are in big, big trouble. So as far as, Brent, go for it. But
No,
we have two issues that we're addressing.
Okay.
Living Wisdom is one, it's the most popular.
yeah,
But this other one up here, that and if we don't use that money,
I support you.
we lose it and we are gonna have to
Okay.
owe $57,000.
There's a motion on the table,
Joseph,
Okay.
yes.
okay, this is discussion.
but this is not about the,
No, that was.
And actually, Elaine offered part of this is to really review these grants, and I'm hoping that
Yeah.
this is gonna.
Motion on the table.
So, all in favor?
Aye. And if we're getting that $76,500, that'll pay Brent.
Well, we're not getting that whole thing.
Oh, well.
Because, yeah. So we actually have to change the rule, we have to change our, we've kind of like, now we're proactively looking back and we have a big problem with that.
And I only,
Okay, well, I'm
We should have-
trusting I'm trusting, Dennis to get what we need out of that.
Only
And it will
what,
be money.
what Dennis
Right?
told me, that Miguel is through us.
Sorry, I gotta go.
That was Dennis,
Yeah.
Well,
to the report, he said that he,
For the
that's why
record,
that's
Adam.
for violations.
Miguel told us.
I just wanna let you know that what I was repeating, because he mentioned that Miguel is through us, so I don't know, I'm not sure on that one.
No,
so.
it said.
Okay, so next item on the agenda is
Okay.
notice of public hearing. We have to do a public hearing for it's for the, oh man, I always forget the numbers, it's a 1041, I believe. It's a big deal for this whole county, everybody kind of is signing on to be part of this thing. What it is a, to help prevent any exploitation of water in the valley. It's a very important thing, and our lawyer is asking for us to do a public hearing, a notice of public hearing. So I have this, sheet, it doesn't say much, except there's a huge background packet that goes with this, that's in our binders. Did you receive it? Did it? So I'm gonna have Ariel send it to everybody to look at. We don't have to do this, I don't think, right away. I don't know why it was on this agenda, but we just need to make sure that,
Another question. We sent a letter from the town that supported the fact that we were not going to, agree to exporting any water.
Right.
We were with the San Luis Valley, whatever. I don't understand why we would need a public hearing
let
for
me
this.
just go through.
Well,
I assist to the, and it's going to be for the next meeting, I thought, I went to the San Luis Valley Council meeting and everyone is doing it, and the, Thomas Cracker pointed out that we should do it right away,
For the public hearing?
I now understand all the details, but he's faced to me that it's really important to do it quick, that this situation, the 1041.
So
And
you wanna say that, we do it on the May meeting, will we add that to our May?
Or posted to,
And that
it's gonna be.
It's a big deal.
Yeah.
There's a, I can't find it, but.
It looks like this is a notice of public hearing, because you're gonna adopt an ordinance.
Correct.
Right.
It's like,
Yeah.
it's like you already decided to do it, but now
Right.
you wanna have an ordinance in your town government.
because,
And when you do that, you generally give a public hearing on that.
because the 1041
That makes sense.
is a permit for, right, I'm mistaken, it's the type of permit that large, yeah, that like large projects receive from the county, and so I'm guessing that this is,
is the,
that we won't be giving those permits to those types of projects.
So this thing, it's guidelines and regulations for projects for export outside the San Luis Valley as designated as matters of state interest of the town of Preston. So it's a pretty, I mean, it's 56 pages. I didn't want to print it because of
No,
56
yeah.
pages. I think what I'm gonna do is direct everybody to get this, to read it.
Yeah.
You know, as much as you can. And then I'm going to say that we just announce that we have to make a motion to have a public hearing for May. The 14th,
Your board meeting.
May
I
board
still
meeting,
have AWDI stickers.
Do you?
Yeah, I do.
May 13th board meeting, so I would entertain a motion to
That's fine.
have a public meeting on May 13th.
13th, you can just put it into your regular board meeting.
Do we need a motion for a public meeting?
Well, we have to post it.
You can, you just, what you need to vote on is to have a public hearing
Correct.
on that issue. And then you can just put it, and the date is gonna be the date of your board meeting.
Okay.
And then you show up and.
So
I would entertain a motion for that.
I make a motion to have a public hearing notice about the adoption of guidelines and regulations for water projects for export outside San Luis Valley at our next meeting
On, yeah.
on May 13th.
Is there a second?
the second.
Second,
Oh, you got beat again, Dennis, you gotta be a little quicker. All right, discussion, more discussion,
No.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Dennis, aye,
yes, aye.
great. Thank you, everybody, for that one. There wasn't any more, finance committee stuff, I kind of jumped over that, are we good on that?
Yeah.
You got Dennis's letter, Elaine's report.
wisdom.
So there's living wisdom, I'm just gonna read it really quick, because it wasn't part of your packet, special agreement to the Crestone Peak Community Housing Living Wisdom Village, PUD, between the town of Crestone and the Crestone Peak Housing Living Wisdom Village. The LWV PUD application and narrative may not encompass all of the details properly constructed, to properly construct this planned unit development. During meetings between representatives of LWV and the town board during April 2024, agreements have been made to facilitate the parties moving toward the construction phase of the PUD. Living Wisdom Village has made a request for the following services: the extension of town water main into private property owned by LWV project, 20 water taps, one 1/4 inch water tap. The fees for the taps will be $3,500 per tap and $6,500 for the 1/4 inch. If the town increases the fees stated in the town fee schedule prior to the completion of the project, then the most current rates will be assessed for the above mentioned taps. Nothing in this agreement addresses the requests for needs of wastewater extension or service. We're supposed to have a wastewater one as well here. Living Wisdom agrees to complete and submit an application for the project prior to any work commencing on the project. LWV agrees the town states that the property owner will bear the total cost of such extension. These costs will include any survey, inspections, engineering, parts, excavation, geotechnical services, and any other costs incurred in connection with the work. Additional fees may be assessed to LWV for the installation of backflow prevention devices, water meter shutoff valves, fire hydrants, along with any costs associated with the installation of these devices. LWV agrees to these fees and will pay them in a timely manner. LWV agrees that no work will be performed past the meter pits prior to the acceptance of the dedicated line by the town. Due to the size of the town and the current staffing, the town is unable to complete the project. Elcon Construction has been engaged by LWV to complete the project. The town considers Elcon Construction as an approved contractor to complete the project. Prior to work on the project commencing, LWV will deposit the town funds equal to 10% of the total estimated cost of the project. This deposit will be returned to LWV as stated in Town Code 7120 parenthesis O parenthesis 4. Inspections of the project will take place pursuant to town policy and at a minimum prior to and during the backfill stages of the project. The town building inspector or the designee must approve of the status and work being performed prior to and during any backfill of the project. Still, and video recordings will be made by the public inspector or by the building inspector prior to and during the backfill of the project. Acceptance of the line will not incur unless the building inspector or designee records photographic evidence of the bedding and backfill process of the project. On completion of the project, if all inspections have been completed and approved by the building inspector, LWV will dedicate all main extensions to the town. Connections will not proceed past the meter pits prior to testing and acceptance of the line by the town. Project will not commence until LWV provides an updated development schedule that has been approved by the planning commission. Okay, so there's some things in there, I didn't read this until just now, I just got it this morning, so. Going backwards, the development schedule has already been approved, they have an updated development schedule.
Yeah,
We need to notify Sam Pace since he's been designated as our building.
Well, that's the thing, is the building,
Take videos.
so the building inspector is one thing, it's really the ORC that needs to approve this, and
But it keeps referring to building.
I know, and that's a problem too, so it's not building inspector, it's actually our ORC has already stated that he is going to be the inspector for this because he actually has certifications in both wastewater as well as water. So I'm gonna make that sure that gets changed.
Does anybody know where Sam is at with that?
Yes, he already approved the building.
He approved the permit.
Yes.
Awesome.
So they can move forward, they got to have that before they could.
Yeah, I know, I was just, didn't know if he had done it yet.
So our lawyer is not on the line, so I'll have to go back and talk to him. The other thing is, this is for the water, but they're extending the wastewater as well. And he didn't talk about that, so I'm assuming that he's gonna have another letter specifically for the wastewater, because that's a different thing. Basically, it's called an EQR. And each EQR, so there's actually a fee schedule that says each PUD unit is a 0.6 EQR. And that means that you would add up, well, when they get a bill, they're 0.6 of a 1 EQR. So it's just a designation because they're small units. Then there's the main community building that would be a whole EQR or possibly more depending on how
Like
much.
there's a laundromat,
Yeah, they're gonna have a laundromat.
community kitchen, you know, that would have a different EQR than just a bathroom.
Right.
So basically, the other thing about this is that, you know, they needed this in order to go forward. They wanted us to have a letter that basically states all this. It seems like it's a little more, technical maybe than what they would want, but we'll send it to them and check to make sure that, you know, because they're gonna have to go through and read all this stuff.
Yeah, I'd like to see a copy of that, you know, the next, just to, I like paper. So I can go,
That's right.
and if I don't get it, I read it 3 more times.
So they say that, so what we had agreed on is this, the reason why town's even involved with this is because when they were gonna put the extension in, we needed up to our standards, which required us to order the parts for them. And then we would create a quote for this extension specifically that they would reimburse us for, and then we would be able to buy all the parts that they need to do the extension. When it comes to if you imagine here, we have it. You imagine that this water and sewer thing, and they're gonna run all the way to the back of the property, there's gonna be a fire hydrant. Probably gonna be a manhole somewhere over here where you turn. All that stuff is gonna be paid for by them, however, we are going to create the parts list and order it from us, but they will not, you know, pay us. Or they will not, we will not order it until they've paid us.
Right.
Then there's a section right here. So say that there's a unit right here. So this is a unit, and they're obviously gonna pay from like the bathroom and all that, the drains out to here, say that the meter for the water and then just going out for the sewer. This point right here is all them, and they actually will buy all the parts for that. We don't buy any of the parts. Between here and here, the town is responsible to pay for. So we're doing a separate order quote that basically just covers this. However, they're gonna owe us even more than this. This is for the sewer, this is for the water. And what we would do is just, because the town has to pay for that section, we're gonna subtract it off their tap fees. Partly because we'll get a bulk deal for everything, and so it'll be better for us to do it that way. And it's partly because we would have to buy it anyways, it's like part of our code, unfortunately. It shouldn't be, but it is, and we have to honor that. The other thing that's gonna happen is they're paying for all the labor on this. They're also paying for the labor here. Well, again, we have to take that off of their tap fees because we would normally be paying. So I don't know exactly what it's gonna turn out to be, but their tap fees are gonna be, you know, so say they were $100,000, you know, it's probably gonna end up costing the town in parts for these little things, you know, maybe 25 or 30. the labor could be 10,
Hmm.
because they're doing it all at once, I mean, it's all gonna be done together. And we'll have it all separated out. But that's what we agreed on, and it really does make sense because unfortunately, we've had this code in there built in for a long time, and for us to change it and say you have to pay for everything would not be a smart move. And then that kind of leads to the next, point is that after this project, we're gonna wanna go back and actually go in there and change our tap fees to be that basically the town does not pay for anything, the property owner pays for the whole thing. And the tap fees go towards, it would go for like, maintenance and.
Right.
On the system over a long period of time, so. And that was another thing that, Elaine had brought up, was maybe a separate account for tap fees. That, but it's definitely gotta get tracked, that people, it's gotta be tracked properly, because it's used for maintenance.
I thought that was our capital fund.
Was that? The capital fund is another one.
Yeah, I thought the tap fees was the capital.
There is one, but we don't have any information. I haven't seen a student since August.
Was the capital funds is separate, that's a tax, a separate 0.5% that comes from the sales tax.
Or the capital fund can be used for infrastructure.
Well, that's what it's supposed to be
Yeah.
for.
Right. But I'm saying that the tap fees should be completely, the town should take those and put them into a separate fund for,
They should be accounting for them.
right,
Where they are, doesn't, like physically where that dollar goes, doesn't matter so much, but you've got to know that you have that dollar. And of the total dollars, this many are.
So, that's,
Mayor,
this,
yes,
is it possible to set up, a specific line item for capital improvement for the expansion of sanitary sewer and water main for those tap-ons? So they can't be touched by anything else?
that'd be good.
Yeah.
Now, the only issue is that the money that we're gonna get from this particular project could also be used, like, again, to help supplement Brent's increase,
Right.
because he's doing a lot, I mean, Brent, you've done a pretty good amount already for this project.
Well, and this is just one extra project. We've got projects that we haven't even handled yet,
Yeah,
two of them, large ones, and yeah, I mean, so this is just the beginning.
right,
We have, and then we'll have other ones after that. I've already got some things planned out. So, this is the time to go, and we need to, and I think it was Kim mentioned something, or somebody mentioned something about some money, that we have a project that needs to be completed. It's a really quick project. It could happen. And we got $7,000, $8,000 sitting there, and we need to get these underway.
550,000.
Well, that's the larger one. I haven't even talked about that one yet. I haven't even seen, I haven't gotten there yet. I'm trying to handle all this stuff.
is this a wastewater meter that
The
we're?
wastewater meter, yeah.
Is that part of that grant?
There's a grant there, that's a matching grant from what I understand. It's about $7,500. Meter sitting in my office.
It's not part of the wastewater, you're saying?
No, I don't.
But it's separate.
This
The
is
jetting,
a small grant.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's part of the
the
plan.
jetting and scoping was taken out of the grant, but when we purchased that, meter
It's
thing,
separate.
it's separate thing.
That's a separate.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I'm trying to prioritize and get the little things handled and get them out of the way. And we got these two big projects. We've got the Living Wisdom, and then we got an extension. And, those are big, those are substantial projects, and they're gonna require somebody.
And we kind of need to discuss even getting back to the basics of that project, because we're gonna be basically extending for like 2 or 3 people over there. I mean, we brought that up one time and it was kind of a big deal, that it might not be the most efficient, I know that Gwen was one that kind of initiated this because of various reasons, but to bring it up there, might be really inefficient compared to what could be done in another part of town.
There could be some, I mean, I have not read the scope of the work yet. I still haven't gotten that file. As soon as I get that file, I mean, I've been putting out fires.
Yeah.
That's something that I think has got a little bit of time.
Well, getting
It's not
these-
super high priority, but it is something that needs to be
I
handled.
don't think you can change the grant when the specifications.
Randy had said we could.
He did?
No, Randy, the woman, was on, she came on and she said, you might
You
want
can
to.
change that money from one place to
But
another.
we'll definitely, when I get the grant and all this, in the scope and start reading it over, we'll look and see what we can come up with, yeah.
We have a full report for my meeting and Alamosa, but I talked to Randy. And she said she's planning to be here in June because we have a lot of grants, they're stacking and moving, and actually she mentioned that we have one and we have to pay back.
Yeah.
She
If
didn't
we don't.
No.
Already?
Yeah, but
Already
she didn't
started.
give me details, but she's planning to come here and training us because we not in the
Good.
best
Thank you.
situation right now, but yeah, I
Good.
will give you more
Okay.
details about it.
So as far as the living wisdom and like, I mean, I haven't gotten to read the letter, but do we need to like get this quote together? You know, what's the action that we need to prepare for them? Or do we already have the quote?
No, not yet.
Okay,
For some reason, our lawyer wasn't at that meeting, so he doesn't have the absolute clear direction from us, how we want to move forward.
right.
I think it's a good start. I think that there has to be sewer built into this letter because it only states water. Maybe he's gonna do two letters, one for the other. Yeah.
I don't understand why the sewer wasn't put in there because we had calculated the EQR tap-ons into that $111,000. I don't know why that was missed.
The lawyer was out for a few days. He did this kind of like on his off hour thing. I couldn't even get a hold of him by phone, so it's all by email. And I just think that when I emailed him about the EQRs and everything, it was already written. So what I'm gonna do is just tell him that, certain elements of this is good and it does protect the town a bit, but it needs to have the sewer built into it as well.
Okay, so you wanna send that back to Seth for
Yes.
revising? Great.
Yes. Is there anything else in
Building
here? I mean,
inspector needs to be replaced with ORT.
right, I understand that. I'll have him for sure change that.
Okay, the first sentence caught my eye right off the bat. The application and narrative may not encompass all the details to properly construct the PUD.
So, yeah, so when they,
So what are we talking
so
about?
here we had this PUD that was approved, it was refined. So he's just stating that this letter is basically a addendum to the PUD because it didn't talk about all this stuff.
The sewer, water.
The other thing that wasn't agreed on is how we're working the quote system, we're supposed to be the ones getting the quote. We're not fronting the money, they're actually you're getting both quotes, right?
Well, this is what we're gonna tell, this is what we're talking about. No, I don't know, I mean, we generally hit on this at the working session. So now is the time we need to hammer these things out and make it clear what my responsibilities are. One thing I think that the board would need to be discussing is how, with finance, which is not really my expertise, but how, once I issue POs, once I issue these orders, I'm going to need a way to pay for them.
So
We
don't
need
worry
to
about,
already have that worked out so that we know.
I don't think we wanna do purchase orders until we get quotes. We wanna have
Well, no, but I'm just giving, I'm throwing things down the road
Yeah.
for you guys to think about what you need to do. But yes, we need to be clear on, I need to be clear on, what sections and how many orders and where, and I need them defined so that I make sure that each purchase order and each order is separated and I issue a purchase order based on just that one.
There's really only two.
But I want to be really clear, I want it in writing.
Okay.
Okay, I want it in writing, and I want it crystallized, so that when I make these orders, nobody's coming back and saying, oh, Brent, you forgot to order this. I'll submit it based on what you guys give me, but it needs to be in writing, and it needs to be very clear, so just, and that might take having to touch base with the project manager and the contractor, Alcon, out of Alamosa, or whatever, and I can help with this, but before we make these orders, let's do that.
Okay, I mean, I think they probably already has they probably already have a outline of what's needed in the engineering.
Yeah.
Elcon would have that. So,
Yeah,
I mean,
really
it's very clear that if you extend the line, they're covering those expenses. The problem is that we have to order the parts because it has to be to our standards. That's one thing we can maintain. So the extension.
We're gonna be responsible, from what I understand, we're also gonna be responsible for maintaining that in the future. So of course we want that to
See,
be
that was a
within the
question.
standards, and I believe, and that needs to be really clear. I didn't hear anybody clarify that at the working session. So just as a board, I think these are
In
things
this
that you
letter-
need to. I haven't read the letter.
Yeah.
Maybe you covered it in there.
What you said that it's gonna be, what is it, conveyed back to the town.
Yeah, okay, yeah, and okay, so it's clear, it sounds like it's clear. You guys were breaking in and out when you were reading the letter. I didn't hear that.
Something breaks down or gets.
Also,
broken or
be
frozen
careful.
Or whatever.
A lot of things you have to
Yeah.
get bid, you have to solicit bids. You can't just go out and buy what you want from wherever you want, you have to put it public notice and solicit bids on things. And this may be one of those.
I'll check into it, yeah, to make sure. I think I think this is just supply. I don't think this is
It depends on the quantity and all that, but, Brett, I think it probably.
How much?
yeah, I'll check in to see if we need to get.
Just
we need to
always
get
make sure that
duplicate
you're
bids.
putting
Out there,
it.
$5,000.
So this very well might be a bidding
Out there,
process, that's what Elaine was saying.
Yeah,
And
I
if
mean,
that's
my
the case,
opinion
then
is,
that's gonna add several steps, and that's gonna add a lot of extra labor and legwork.
I agree,
So you know.
but I think getting the list of everything that we need in one quote, specifically for the extension of the water and the sanitation is really clear, it's clear. And there should be no, like, should be no question really about the extension. When the extension, so say it was already in. Say there was already an extension in. And they wanted to tap into that extension. There's a section there that goes from the extension to the meter pit. And that section is on us. We have to pay for that, so we need to figure out exactly what that criteria is as well.
Yeah, and that's on my end.
Right.
And all the technical aspects of what we need, that's what I'll do. But what I need is I need to know like, for instance, how many manholes, I need to know the
Yeah.
quantity that they require in their plans. And I'd like to, and I think an engineer might need to, he needs to give me what is required, I think as far as parts go, you know, how many feet we need, how many manholes we need, and then I will spec it out according to our needs.
Dennis?
Does that sound right, Dennis?
Yes, you are. And because ordering that stuff and separating it out between service and main is one thing, but receiving all that material that Brent's talking about is a whole nother story. There's a manhole section that I think is, with the base and the cone and the barrel section is probably like about 13 feet deep. Those are coming 3 or 4 different pieces. So we have the receiving and the storage of that equipment or material as well. So I guess what I'm saying is that Brent needs to be in contact with Elcon. The other thing we talked about was using the plastic pipe versus the copper, which I kept mentioning. But the engineer had drawn copper on that drawing, and that's where I got that from. Elcon needs to know in case they bidded it out different. So as Brent said, no one comes back to him and says he's ordered the wrong material. So he has to be in close contact with Elcon. And I think the only way that's gonna happen is if Living Wisdom Center, CPCH, tells Elcon that they can talk with Brent.
So this letter should state that.
Yes.
He needs a contact.
Would you say you need to be in a contact on an engineering level or maybe a supervisory level? What would you think, Dennis?
I think on whoever might be their designated as their field personnel, Brent. You know, getting down to the grunts is really what you want to do, because management's going to say one thing, just like a board, and then the real aspect of it is the people who actually put the project together. I think you need to get contact with that individual, whoever he might be.
Site manager, you think?
Yes, I think so.
Okay.
And whoever bid out that project for copper as well, because the labor installing copper is a lot different than the plastic. On the service taps I'm talking about.
Brent, you won't have trouble with the Alcon. They'll get you right to the person. They're so together and.
I've looked at their drawings,
Yeah,
and I'll tell you,
but
just
they'll
looking
get
at the
you
drawings, I'm
where
like,
you
wow,
need to
this
be,
is a nice outfit.
Yeah.
Why are we in the meeting? Cause I think
Sorry.
Well, I think, I don't know,
So-
I don't think we need to make a motion for any of this.
I will work with the lawyer to get this dialed more and we'll have it.
So we don't have to make a motion right now or anything?
Well, the only thing would be to direct Brent to actually work with Alcon, so he knows it from the board perspective that we need him to be able to do that.
Okay.
And there might need to be a formal letter sent or something, I don't know.
Well, I'm gonna add it to this letter.
Okay, and then that might do it, yeah.
But,
See what the lawyer.
Isn't that just part of your job description? I don't.
Well, it
think we
seems
need
like
a
this would
motion.
be a sub, but I mean, this is something I didn't even know was coming down the pike a week ago,
Right.
until we had our meeting.
Right.
And then I'm like, oh, I'm gonna have to manage this project, so that's, you know, I mean,
yeah, I mean, you're gonna have.
there's no one else here to do it, you know?
Right.
I mean, it's totally within my scope of, expertise, but, you know, I do have help, we have an ORC and we have Dennis here, and between the three of us, we'll be able to knock it out.
Do you have a motion?
I think we need a motion to direct you to actually do the quotes for this
Okay,
and have them
yeah,
as soon as possible.
we'll just
Because
start
they wanna
with
get this
that,
stuff
yeah.
going.
And then I'll have my director, yeah.
I therefore make the motion that we direct Brent. I don't know your last name.
Vandiver,
Vandiver, et cetera,
To find out,
find out, the,
is it, material list and project specifications
get
from
that,
Alcon
okay,
and start working on, a quote for the extension. I guess I'm making this motion.
yeah, I think so, yeah, cause I'm,
what was discussed basically in the meeting we had last week.
Right.
That's where we sat down with the Kia and she said, this is what we need, and this is what we need from the town, which is to basically, it looked like we've got about
I
six
just wanna
hundred foot
give
of
you the
extension.
authority to,
I would say-
It'll be my
To go
fund.
forward with the, quote for the extension as well as a quote for the, taps, each tap and how
you know.
Facilitate the infrastructure development for living.
There you go.
There.
See,
That's what we needed. Dennis, do you agree that is that pretty much everything that they need to, what authorities do I need to make this happen?
I think that's fine. And I think if it's gonna change, you'll hear more from the, whoever's gonna be the field manager from Alcon. And then you could just come back to us and we can make whatever adjustments verbally that we need to do.
So that's the final. We are going to direct Brent Vandiver to help facilitate the infrastructure regarding the extension as well as the taps. By gathering information as well as, bringing quotes to the board. And then bringing them to, Alcon as well as the, Living Wisdom Project. There's a second, I'm gonna make that motion.
Second.
Okay, Dennis. Okay, is there more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
And treasure.
So that was already done.
Yeah, right.
Actually, no. Did we, yeah, we postponed that for the next meeting, we were gonna all look at that. Is that correct?
Personnel.
Not the personnel handbook, the, this,
Training for town.
yeah, this little, Kim,
Oh, that.
this thing.
Is there an estimate? I didn't, maybe I didn't get all the pages. I didn't see her. She's one.
She did give an estimate
Yes.
for her work and for the QuickBooks stuff.
Those are just good, oh, kind of things.
Oh. Oh, really?
But there, I think, it looks like you had it in here.
Did I have it?
Maybe turn that over.
There's some things that have.
Oh, here it is.
Yeah.
Okay. Here it is. On the back.
Oh, I didn't see that.
You have it?
What you got, Candy?
Oh, what I don't know what I did with mine.
Could I add something, and you guys just mentioned something about an employee handbook, in speaking with the staff has, wanted to, give input into some of the revisions.
Would you
And,
be willing?
we'd like to be able to do that, it's maybe at a staff meeting or in a public meeting, I don't know how that needs to happen, but.
That's fine, but
We'd like to
what
do
we,
that.
what we did was we directed the personnel committee to bring those revisions,
Mhm.
so they're gonna get together one more time.
Okay.
So if you guys could actually like either draw up what you want, hand it off to the committee,
Mhm.
let the committee review it, try to do it before their meeting, and then the committee will sum it up and bring it to the, next board meeting.
Very good, okay, all right. But it didn't look like Ariel was in attendance at this meeting, so,
She's gonna get the recording.
but she'll have it, but anyway. just
So
thought I
what's
would
the
say
next
that.
item on our agenda, sorry? Trying to take time.
This was the last thing,
So it's Dana Ryder's, training for Kim to do the transfer of QuickBooks.
We talk about
onto
20
the
hours, right?
Online version from the desktop version, which we, we haven't approved, but that's her fees.
and then also approve, the desktop fees. Oh, this is already what we paid.
That's already paid, although it doesn't look right.
Uh-huh.
You're spending a lot of money training.
I know that.
Well, we keep losing people.
Yeah.
We don't treat our staff reasonable. And they quit. And then we gotta train somebody new.
Well, that's the hope now is that we're gonna maintain our
We
staff.
have to take care of our
And,
people.
and before any staff member leaves, like you had said, we need some kind of, legacy.
I mean, one thing that Kim was saying at the last meeting is that like the desktop version is just becoming obsolete. And so like as a long-term solution, isn't really a long-term solution.
Yeah.
And so pointing out that like our movement to the online version is like good, and we
Is an
have to do,
upgrade.
yeah, we have to do it at some point.
And just on this, I'll just let you know, there's a lot of technology that I just, like, what I used for my meter readers, I can't update it anymore, I'm gonna need a new, pad. There's, that
The
QuickBooks, and I believe even the computer where you're sitting, we've got some technology, just to let you guys know, coming down the pipe, I don't think it's too expensive, but to let you know, all this technology has not been updated.
We're not in comments, right?
It's a long time overdue.
So
I can't even.
how do you wanna handle this proposal? Do you
Yeah.
wanna wait till the
Try
next
to.
meeting? Do you wanna, sit with it a
I
little?
think we should wait.
Yeah.
I wanna find, I would like to know a little more about,
Okay.
I'm not sure why it should cost you this much money to go online. With the
Okay.
system already, so and I know Kim, I would like to talk to
Can we
you about it and
put it
see,
under
I
the
just can't see
finance
spending like
committee?
$2,000 more. And have
Another-
what
yeah.
we already have, and right now, I don't know what can be converted because it's such a mess.
Well, let's wait then.
Put it, if you could put it, I think put this one off.
Okay,
on
let's,
May.
postpone that to the May meeting.
No, it's fine, thank you.
So for the record, we're gonna postpone, this training for the town treasurer for the May meeting. And I'm just saying that because then RL can put it on the agenda.
Okay.
So I would, entertain a motion to adjourn.
I would make that motion to
Any
adjourn.
second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Wow. Adjourned.
Yeah.
Let's a special meeting, come on.
So now you pay lunch, Benji.
Sorry?
Now you have to
Okay,
pay
see
lunch.
y'all in a couple hours.
Lunch.
Oh, yeah.
And Dennis,
You're
give me
not allowed to
a
accept gifts.
when you wanna get together.
Yeah,
Dennis,
so
I'm gonna be back in town tonight.
um,
So let's get together this weekend if we can.
okay, sounds good.
All right, you want me to call you? I'll have my girl call your girl.